How you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at the Guild Starfire II. So the Guild Starfire II has a bit of a long history. This particular model is kind of a refreshed reissue. It's very similar to what the original base was, but with a few changes to it. So Guild first came out with the Starfire base as a single pickup model, and you could either get it with the pickup up at the neck or down at the bridge. 1965, Chris Homan from the Byrds played that model. As a matter of fact, they had a reissue Chris Homan signature model a few years ago. 1967, they came out with the dual pickup version. Phil Lesh of the Grateful Dead started playing it not long after that and played it through the late 60s. Jack Cassidy from the Jefferson Airplane played one for a bit too. What was unique about those basses was they got heavily modified. First, Jack Cassidy had his done by the guys that went on to form Alembic. So it was the first real true alembicized bass where they put in active electronics and filters. Lesh turned his bass in, and the thing was totally gutted and redone and turned into what became known as Big Brown or Mission Control, the bass that he ended up using extensively through the majority of the 70s, but was not actually a Guild Starfire any longer. But anyways, the biggest difference that the newer bass has, based compared to the old one, was the old one, the original had a little button right about here that they called a bass boost. It probably was more of a treble roll off, but it was pretty common on a lot of basses back then. The Epiphone Rivoli and the Gibson EB2 had them where it was kind of a choke to make it sound more like a bass. But yeah, and let's get into it. So this here is in what they call the natural finish. It's also available in emerald green, I believe, vintage cherry, and then maple. Now, the biggest difference between the maple and the other finishes is the maple one has a maple body. This one is all mahogany. Mahogany top and sides, and neck as well. So nice. A little bit on the hefty side as a hollow body bass goes. Semi-hollow body. It does have a block down the middle, much like the Gibsons. You can hear hollow, solid down the middle. This one here has upgraded type Grover tuners. These are the same ones that I put on my Jack Cassidy Epiphone bass, which I highly recommend. The bridge is kind of unique. It is a metal plate with rosewood saddles, which gives a little bit of different sound. The bass itself is 30-inch scale, so it's a little bit shorter than your standard Fender. That being said, if you're going to restring it, you need to use medium scale strings because of the extra distance here on the tailpiece. A standard short scale string will not work. It's a little funky getting the intonation on this. It screws down here and moving the bridges, but you know that tone that you get. It's a little bit different sound with the wood saddles as opposed to the metal ones. You get some binding on the neck, which is nice. Rosewood fretboard. Let's get to the electronics. So first we'll talk about the controls. So you have standard Les Paul style wiring. You got your master volume. You got your volume for the neck pickup. Oh, I always do this. Your volume for the neck, volume for the bridge, tone for the neck, tone for the bridge. And then you have a three-way switch. You got your bridge, you got your neck. Someday I'll get that right. You got your neck, you got both, and you got your bridge. And like a Les Paul, if you have the volume down on one of the pickups, then when you switch to both, it cuts out. But a nice handy feature that Guild had and Gretsch also had was a master volume pot, which is kind of handy. You can have both pickups up all the time and you don't have to worry about turning both down or whatever. You can just roll your volume in and out. Pretty useful. You know, you can do volume swells and the like. So pretty cool feature having that. next we get to the pickups. So the original Starfire had Hagstrom Bisonic pickups. Hagstrom is a Swedish guitar company, and they had produced the pickups, I think, from the early '60s on, and whatever Guild, excuse me, had some deal where they used their pickups. These are renowned. These are single coils, even though they look like humbuckers, very large single coils. They're renowned for having a uh, very full range and clear sound, which lent itself very well to the Olympization. So the original Olympics worked off these pickups before they ended up making their own pickups. But this was kind of the inspiration for that. Guild used these up until about 1970 or 71 when they came out with their own humbucker pickup, which is about the same size. You can tell the difference if you're looking at an old Guild Starfire. The humbucker pickup is all chrome. The cover does not have the black cover that the Bisonic have. These pickups kind of took on a life of their own back in the late 90s. A gentleman named Fred Hammond began making his own version. He called them the Dark Star pickup, probably because Phil Lesh, I think, used his Guild Starfire on the epic Live Dead album from 1969, which has, probably not the definitive, but one of the first real good versions, I guess, of the epic Dead song Dark Star. So I'm guessing that's where it got its name from, but they were very popular. People were buying them and sticking them in all sorts of different bases. Barry Gordy, oh gosh, he just had his birthday. Barry Oakley, let's get that right. Barry Oakley of the Allman Brothers also played a Starfire too. There's some pictures around of him playing it, but what most notable he did was he took the pickup out of his Guild Starfire and stuck it in his jazz bass and called it the Tractor. They moved the two jazz bass pickups back here by the bridge and had this in the middle setting. So totally unique sound. So that Allman Brothers sound and tone, a lot of that comes from the Bisonic pickup too. But anyways, so very popular. People were using it for making their own versions of the Tractor. Lakeland, I think, licensed it for a while and put it in. They made their own version of the pickup finally. But you could get Lakeland Decade, I believe is the name of the bass, a hollow body bass that had Dark Star pickups in it. For whatever reason, he stopped making the pickups, but Curtis Novak now makes the pickups, and you can get them, and they're not cheap. So you can still get the Dark Star type pickup. What was unique was, so Guild, I know I'm going long in the history, some people hate it, but hey, my channel, I do what I want. I'll maybe put a marker where you can skip to the playing. But Guild had an interesting history. They were one of the last, big U.S. electric guitar makers, or well, maybe not the last, but they were big in the '80s with their pointy guitars. They ran into hard times. They got bought out by Fender. Fender made some reissues for a while. They also had a low-end line called DeArmond. So there was a Starfire, DeArmond Starfire that you can still find out there, and you can find some of the Fender Guild Starfires. But oh gosh, in the early 2010s, Fender spun Guild off. So it's its own company now. It's independent from Fender, and they started, going back and bringing back a lot of the older styles. And they have something called the Newark Street Collection, where they came and they did a bunch of reissues. They did the M85, which is a Les Paul single cut style bass with a single pick available with single or dual pickups as well. Sheryl Crow played a vintage one of those. And Tommy Sims, who plays with Sheryl Crow, has one too, I think. Might be the same bass. They tried to make a nice, faithful reproduction of it. What they did was they went and they made the specs of this pickup to be the same as the Fred Hammond Dark Star. So quite interesting there, where the original was inspired to someone else made it, and then what he did inspired the reissue. So cool. So there you go. This is my bass. It's already been used. I unfortunately was playing in a chair, so I got some scratches here. Don't know if they'll show up well, but the strap pins are on the back, so you could have a problem with it tipping away from you. I don't have any problem. It seems to balance pretty well. I don't have much neck dive on this. I seem to have good luck on basses that other people have problems with neck dive, so maybe it's my straps. But there you go. That is the Guild Starfire. Now, as I mentioned, it's a 30-inch scale, so if you're used to a more standard 34-inch scale, you're going to have some adoption here. So really, this pickup is in the same location. If you were to line up a P bass nut for nut with a Starfire, the bridge pickup is in the same spot as the P bass pickup. Now, of course, playing over this pickup is not going to be the same as the P bass because of the relationship it is, how it's related placed to the bridge. But so if you're used to playing a P bass, or longer scale bass, you're going to have some adoption issues. You want to fool around, get that strap the right height so your handle will fall properly. So just something to keep in mind. First few times playing it, you may have to adjust a few times. You could have some elbow issues if you don't get it set right. So you may want to wear it a little lower if you're used to a longer scale bass to get your hand in the position you're used to. But anyways, let's check out how it sounds. All right, so we're going through my Mesa D350, which is over here just off camera, sitting on top of my Mesa 215. I know I'm sitting right next to my Mesa TT800 with Mesa 115. I'm not playing through this because this is a semi-hollow body. It's prone to feedback. Yeah, very controllable typically, but if you're sitting right in front of the amp playing loudly, you really can't control that. So you're not going to have too much of an issue playing with it live. It's something that you can harness for your own usage. See Jack Cassidy, who's infamous for his use of feedback. I believe he used his alembic modified Starfire on the song Sunrise from Blows Against the Kingdom, I think is the name of the album, a Paul Kantner solo album, which was actually really a Jefferson's Airplane project. It's basically a duet between Jack Cassidy and Grace Slick. She sings awesome on it, and most of the song is controlled bass feedback. Go check that out. Anyways, so we are. So you're getting the direct sound right from the DI. I'm listening through the amp. You won't hear the amp. So we're going to start off real simple. We're going to go with both pickups full on. And again, this is a master volume. So no sound, full sound. Intonation's a little off. Sorry. Another thing I forgot to mention is, boy, is this a thin neck. Thinner than a jazz bass and a very flat radius. So your big hands like me, a little funky getting on there, but something you may not be used to. So that was both pickups full up. So now, as I mentioned, with both pickups on, you turn one volume down, it kills all the volume. That's your Les Paul wiring, which means you can do cool stuff like this. Tom Morello type stuff. But anyways, so something you'll notice here, as I said, there are single coil pickups. So as I back off the volume on one pickup, you can hear the single coil hum. Nice. Or maybe not nice. But anyways. So you can have a lot of different variations. Let's roll. I'm going to roll the tone all the way off the bridge pickup. And here we go. All right, now I'm going to roll the tone off the neck pickup and not touch the bridge. You're probably saying, I don't hear much difference. Well, that's the wiring. So you'll notice some variations in tone there. So tone rolled off all the way on one pickup is going to be tone rolled off all the way on both. So something to keep in mind. But what's cool about it is when you have the master volume, you can set each pickup up individually, even though even though the tones are ganged or matched up when they're in the center position, you'll have separate settings. So when you switch back and forth, you can have a bunch of different sounds on tap. So let's do this. I am going to pull the tone off the neck. Let's go to the neck pickup. And the tone's full up on the bridge. Let's go down to the bridge. Okay, not bad. And now we'll go in the middle. So they're summed in the middle. The tone is going to be the same because it affects both pickups, but you got this. You got three distinct sounds there, if you notice. So you know, neck with the tone rolled off, bridge. So, you know, usable, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. You decide. But to me, I mean, I love the tone of this bass. It sounds fantastic. Here's the bridge with the tone all the way up. Bridge. Both. Yeah, throw some pick in there for the heck of it. So you're limited a little bit in what you can do with the tone because of when it's in both pickups, but you get that different sound. So the tone is different. So this is what's really cool. So we have both pickups. I got the tone rolled back about halfway on the neck, on the bridge, full up on the neck. So there's that. Neck with the full tone up. Bridge with the tone rolled back. Ooh, a little burpy, huh? Nice. And then in the middle. Cool. So a little limiting, but not completely. I mean, you play around with it, you get a bunch of sounds. Plus, it just has such an authentic look. Really cool bass. Somebody mentioned, if you can see here, there's little pieces of metal that line up that show you where you're, that are kind of work as pointers, so you can tell where your volume is and your tone is. Cool, huh? All right, so there we go, the Guild Starfire II. I said this is a new model, currently in production. The website lists 4 colors. I've only seen 3 colors available. The prices are kind of funky. The emerald green one is, I've seen going for around $1,300. The natural is around $1,500, and the maple I've seen $1,700, $1,800. So your mileage may vary. The maple one is a natural finish, so it's a completely like blonde, nice yellowish maple. I said this is natural finish, mahogany. The emerald green is mahogany, just green. There's a cherry listed on the website, but I haven't seen the cherry one for a while. But the cherry one is probably be a really cool one to have. It'd be the most like if you were trying to, if you were in a true Dead tribute band, you'd want the cherry one because I think that's what Phil rocked back in the day. But anyways, there you are. Guild Starfire II. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for dropping by. I know I talked a lot in this one. But if you like what you see, subscribe. There's going to be a playlist popping up here and another video for you to check out. And rock on.